found it. The smoking gun proof John Titor is Morey Haber. Took a long time, but I finally found it. This is the final conclusion of the hoax hunter search for the identity behind John Titor. The bulk of the new evidence comes from Arthur Haber, brother of Morey Haber, brother of Larry Haber, the official spokesperson, entertainment lawyer of John Titor. You will see the proof as I saw it. You will see that Morey Haber is John Titor. I burned this in the past, or the future, depending upon how you look at it. I wouldn't have gone to the trouble of making this, let alone making this entire set, if I wasn't 100% confident. John Titor is a fictional character created by Morey Haber. This video contains the smoking gun proof. John Titor is Morey Haber. Stay tuned, be patient. This is a compilation, a summary of 12 years of work. The breaking news is Arthur Haber emailed me one day after I posted the video, The Real John Titor, in which I compared Morey Haber's writings with John Titor's writings. This jacket is pretty loud, so I'm going to be taking it off now. As you can see, the jacket is made in Japan. It is a gold winner's Olympic jacket, probably made in the 80s. It is a winner's jacket, a gold medalist Olympic winner's jacket, which is fitting. If finding the identity behind John Titor was an Olympic sport, I would be the gold medalist champion of the world! Disclaimer. The following is my legal stance on releasing the Arthur Haber emails. Big YouTuber H3H3 Productions recently received the following legal advice from attorney Ryan Morrison concerning unsolicited emails.
And I will say a very special thanks to Ryan Morrison, the video game attorney who was advising us through this whole thing. And he gave us so much great advice and even represented us. I mean, this guy is a literal saint. So here's his Twitter, guys. Please go follow him. This guy is a saint. And one of the great things Ryan told us is that we can actually share the emails we got legally because it was sent to us unsolicited. Therefore, he has no expectation of privacy. So it is my great pleasure to show you exactly the emails we received from a dude at SoFlo. This is the first email we got 3 hours after posting our new video. It says, "To whom it may concern."
I can share Arthur Haber's emails legally because they were sent to me unsolicited. Unsolicited emails have no expectation of privacy. This is according to attorney Ryan Morrison and privacy law. Speaking of law, it's not a crime to roleplay a time traveler anonymously. It's equally not a crime to investigate and find the identity of that anonymous person. The new John Titor evidence is contained in emails from Arthur Haber, brother of Larry Haber. Larry Haber is the official entertainment lawyer of the John Titor business. The Haber brothers include Larry, John Titor's attorney, Arthur, Richard, and Morey, also known as John Titor. Richard and Arthur's involvement in the John Titor saga is minimal. Morey Haber created the fictional character John Titor independently. The evidence isn't strictly black and white emails. The evidence is also when those emails were sent to me. They were sent immediately after I posted a video called The Real John Titor. In that video, I compared and showed proof that Morey Haber shares the exact same writing style as John Titor. The fact that I even got a response immediately from a Haber, let alone a Haber I had never heard of, was further proof that I was on the right track, that my side-by-side text analysis comparison between Morey Haber and John Titor was dead on, 100% accurate. After I did that side-by-side analysis, I knew for a fact, and I could prove it, John Titor has the same writing style as Morey Haber, but it went over the heads of many people. They didn't believe it. Guess who did believe it? And guess who immediately emailed me? Arthur Haber, brother of Larry Haber, the official spokesperson and entertainment lawyer for John Titor, the John Titor Foundation, the entire John Titor business. These are the key players involved in the John Titor story. Morey Haber. He invented John Titor in 1998 by faxing Art Bell. In the year 2000, he posted on the Time Travel Institute forums as Time Travel Zero. In 2001, he posted as John Titor, his most famous thread, I am from 2036. Morey has been hiding behind a gate ever since 1998. That's almost 20 years now. But he has been found out. The following are the gatekeepers that have been hiding the identity of John Titor for almost 20 years. Brother of Morey Haber, Larry Haber, has been the official entertainment lawyer and spokesperson for John Titor, the John Titor business, since shortly after 2001, shortly after John Titor stopped posting. Larry Haber needed a fake story to protect him on how he actually contacted John Titor to become his spokesperson. That's where Brandon Haber comes in. Brandon Haber supposedly contacted John Titor and hooked him up with his dad. And that's the official cover story on how Larry Haber became the official lawyer of John Titor. Brandon is happy to volunteer to protect his uncle Morey. In 2008, private investigator Mike Lynch suspected Richard Haber was John Titor because he hung around Larry Haber as he was interviewed. I found a P.O. box which said John R. Haber. I suspected the R might stand for Richard, but Richard was a fall guy from the beginning. He's been a gatekeeper that seems to have been recruited by Larry to protect the identity of John Titor. Richard is happy to protect his brother Morey. Arthur Haber, the unknown brother, the brother I've never heard of. He is the key player in this investigation. He's the one that broke the silence one day after I posted a video entitled The Real John Titor, where I compared Morey Haber's writing style to John Titor's. He knew the writing style was key. He even tried to convince me that Brandon Haber, his nephew, was John Titor, and said that maybe Morey's writing style rubbed off onto Brandon. This is actually what he emailed me one day after I posted the video comparing John Titor with Morey Haber. This is above and beyond proof that Morey Haber is John Titor. But continue to watch to the end of this video. I narrate every email Arthur sent me. You will be able to read the emails as I read them, knowing that Morey Haber is John Titor. This isn't entertainment for me. This was a legitimate 12-year investigation. I have attached the documents in the description of this video that correspond to my 12-year investigation. Continue to watch and you will be able to see the clues as I saw them, proving Morey Haber is John Titor. This is the side-by-side text analysis between Morey Haber on the left and John Titor on the right. The words that are in red, underlined in red, are the matching words and phrases, more specifically phrases. 2-word phrases and above. As you can see, on the right, John Titor, on the left, Morey Haber. Many phrases match exactly. This is over 71,000 words compared between the two. The left from Morey Haber's blog that he posted on prolifically, and the right on John Titor's posts, which are many. I had to compile every single post John Titor ever wrote, remove every single reply he ever received, take out the date, take out any quotes, anything he didn't actually write himself. And I had to do the same thing with Morey Haber with his blog on the left. And the comparison is clear. They share the exact same writing style. This is a fact. It's not a theory. This thesis was confirmed to be fact when the brother of Morey Haber, Arthur Haber, emailed me in response, saying, As this happened many years ago, here is my belief from the family. Brandon, Larry's son, started it. It is my opinion only. As we are a close family, perhaps some of Morey's writing style or verbal communication rubbed off on Brandon. I ain't say that even Morey might have commented or helped. He won't claim that. Just FYI, given the amount that Morey writes for internet security and writes a lot, I can't discount the work you have done. But it does point more to Brandon than him. Brandon is 9 years old old in 1998, 10 years old, 11 years old in 2001. There is 0% chance Brandon was the author behind John Titor. Remember, this email was sent to me on April 22nd, 2013, one day after I posted the text side-by-side comparison between his brother Morey Haber and John Titor on April 21st, one day prior, entitled The Real John Titor. And he even tried to convince me that it was a different relative, his nephew, Brandon Haber, and he claimed that the writing style of Morey Haber must have rubbed off on Brandon, and Arthur tried to convince me Brandon was John Titor. In 2008, the inception of John Titor's existence, Brandon was 9 years old. There's no way that it was Brandon. It was clearly and always has been Morey. The writing styles exactly match. Take a look at my thesis right here, entitled John Titor Text Analysis Comparative Linguistic Study by John Houston, aka Razimus of Hoax Hunter. I released this on April 21st of 2013. Very few people took notice. It went over the heads of many people. It didn't convince many people, but it did convince the brother of Morey Haber, Arthur Haber himself. Here is the Excel file showing the many phrase matches. There are over 400 three-word phrase matches. There are over 60 four-word phrase matches. We have 5 five-word phrase matches. We have 2 6-word phrase matches. We have some uncommon words, and we have some rare words over here, and we have some contraction alternatives. Both John Titor and Morey Haber liked to say it is, do not, did not, I am, I would, I have, there is, that is, was not, will not, you are, you will, you have, are not. But the uncommon words, the rare words, the 3, 4, 5, 6 word phrase exact matches are really clear when you take a look at this side-by-side comparison. It's crystal clear. They share the exact same writing style. I proved this, but only Arthur Haber, the brother of Morey Haber, seemed to take notice because he knew that I knew that they were the same person, and he tried his best to play the role of damage control to push me in another direction, to try to convince me it was his nephew Brandon or anyone. At this point, Arthur Haber's official standpoint is that it's some random client that he is unable to reveal to me. The reason that is his official stance right now is because his brothers have convinced him, don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret. But the secret's already been revealed. They share the same writing style. This is concrete proof, and the fact that I received a response immediately from Arthur Haber trying to cover the tracks of his brother Morey is concrete, further smoking gun proof that Morey Haber is John Titor. Here is the archive at my old website, Spacetime News, showing the archive of my 2004 investigation in John Titor's identity. I did a keyword search of 3 keywords that no one else used: super universe, local gravity, and gravity lock. According to Google, back in 2004, only 2 people on the entire internet used those 3 keyword phrases: John Titor and a guy named Gerald Odock Harty. Gerald came forward, posted on the time travel internet forums, actually registered an account, posted his actual photo, and said you can ask him any questions. And he said, I'm not John Titor. He was upfront and honest about it, and he said he must have read the same books John Titor did. That was his conclusion, that both he and John Titor read the same Dr. Stephen Hawking books, which talked about black holes and the potential for time travel. So the keyword search is something no one tried. I've tried many methods over the many years on tracing down the identity behind John Titor. In 2005, I emailed quantum physicist, co-founder of string theory, Dr. Michio Kaku by going to his website, mkaku.org, clicking on the contact section, and I asked him this following question. I don't know if you've heard about the supposed time traveler John Titor. I believe he is fake, but thousands believe he is real. I think it would help for them to hear what a real quantum theoretical physicist had to say about it. You don't have to read his entire story to know the chances of him being a hoax or not. To summarize, a guy contacted Art Bell back in 1998 and later posted on the internet back in 2001 and claimed to be a real time traveler from 2036. He claims his time machine works by using two mini black holes. He claims the technology was already invented by CERN. Could you tell me the chances of him being for real? On Thursday, January 20th, 2005 at 7:06 p.m., I received a reply from Dr. Michio Kaku. He said the following: "Thanks for the email. For my thoughts about time travel, see mkaku.org, also Parallel Worlds. I think the person you mentioned is a fake. Mini black holes do not have the power to bend time, and CERN certainly has not produced any. The LHC will be turned on in 2 years, and there is a small chance it might create a mini black hole, but these are subatomic in size and energy. Time travel may be possible, but not for a Type 0 civilization. Type 3 civilizations, however, may have access to the Planck energy, where this possibility opens up." Michio Kaku. This was, remember, back in 2005, 2 years before CERN even went online, but even to this day, the end of 2006, the beginning of 2017, the Large Hadron Collider, CERN, they have never, in any way, shape, or form, discovered or created a mini black hole. But even if they did, they are subatomic in size, they dissipate, they disappear immediately, and they do not have the power to bend time. Dr. Michio Kaku destroyed John Titor's fake science, proving once and for all John Titor is fake. Yet all the radio talk show hosts, even the ones that are prominent enough for Dr. Michio Kaku to come on as a guest, have never asked such a good question as this. None of them asked him about John Titor's theoretical time machine, because if they did, he would shoot it down and he would say the exact same thing. This is a legitimate email from Dr. Michio Kaku, and if I write a book, I'm going to put his quote in the beginning pages of my book and thank him. In 2009, I released the Razimus Report. It focused on 88 fake-sounding names that posed very simplistic questions to John Titor. They were suspect of being sock puppet accounts, fake accounts John Titor may have created to pose himself simplistic questions, to set himself up to be able to answer the perfect answers. I noticed a lot of fake-looking names. These fake-looking names also posed very simplistic, very stupid questions to John Titor, which he was easily able to answer. On top of that, most of these names, if not all of them, never posted on the internet ever again, making them even more suspect for being fake accounts. I narrowed this 88 down to about 25 names. There are a few that I never suspected from the beginning, like Keith Rowland, the Art Bell webmaster. I didn't think he was intelligent enough. Let's face it, John Titor was an intelligent guy. He read Dr. Stephen Hawking books. He was able to answer any questions. They were such simplistic questions, I assumed they were fake people. But it turns out a lot of these people were real, and some of them just simply never used their real names ever again, whereas supposedly they did use their real names on the Art Bell forums back in the day. Going through every single reply John Titor ever received, every single person that ever posed him a question, was a daunting task. All of these suspects led nowhere. They were all a dead lead. They didn't lead anywhere because none of these people were John Titor. None of these people are Morey Haber. None of them led anywhere, but it was a good try, and as you can see here, I posted it on Above Top Secret back in the day in 2009, and it received over 43 stars or thumbs up or whatever they give over there for posts that are really popular. So it was a really popular post. A lot of people thought it was a good effort, and it was. When one method doesn't work, you try something else, and I've done that over and over and over for the past 12 years until I found a strategy that actually did work. My text side-by-side analysis between John Titor and Morey Haber, which spawned the response from his brother Arthur Haber, which forever will be known as the way I found the proof, proving John Titor is Morey Haber. In 2009, I came across an odd addresses.com page after a many-hour-long Google search, and I believe it's a glitch to this day. The John R. Haber name on it is a mystery, but it did say business name John Titor, and it was in Kissimmee, Florida, instead of Celebration, Florida, but it's very close to Celebration, Florida, and it had the exact same numbers as Larry Haber's official John Titor P.O. box. Some guys in Orlando decided to drive 15 minutes down the road to investigate, and they were unable to find the Kissimmee, Florida P.O. box.
This other guy named Razimus, or the hoax hunter, says this guy's fake and his address is down in Kissimmee, Florida, and we're in Orlando, so that's like...
But that's neither here nor there. The fact is, Larry Haber's official John Titor P.O. box was in Celebration, Florida for many years, and here is proof of that on johntitor.com/pages/media.html. The Celebration, Florida P.O. box is undisputed, it's a fact, and it's also the place where John Titor posted back in the year 2000 and the year 2001. In the year 2000, John Titor posted from the Time Travel Institute forums under the pseudonym Time Travel Zero. The IP address from those posts pointed directly to Celebration, Florida, the headquarters of Larry Haber's law offices at the time. It's not a coincidence. Larry's brother, Morey Haber, had full access, and he was the author behind those posts. Why he chose Celebration, Florida? He had full access to Celebration, Florida. His brother worked there and lived there. In the year 2001, on the Post-to-Post forums, John Titor's IP address again pointed towards Celebration, Florida. The Celebration, Florida connection to the Habers is crystal clear. All clues lead to the Habers, and all clues looked at thoroughly go beyond Larry Haber and point to his brother Morey Haber. In 2009, I interviewed Pamela, the most notable John Titor contactee, because she's the only contactee of John Titor who received a physical letter in the mail from him. She requested an item from him, and he sent her an IBM label, which he claimed went through the black hole with him during time travel. This is approximately the correct size, give or take, but the actual logo was made out of a cloth-like material. This is the question I asked. So the letter John sent you, I assume it had no return address, but it must have had a postal stamp on the stamp. Did the postal stamp say Florida or anything specific like a zip code? I just remember Darby traced John's IP back to Celebration, Florida. Pamela responded on March 3rd, 2009 at 7:20 p.m. with the following. Yes, you are correct. There was no return address, but there was a postmark. I will tell you it was from Florida. This further proves that John Titor was physically in Florida at the time. I guarantee not only Larry but Morey Haber was in Florida at the time. Pamela told me that she received one of these John Titor books, published through the John Titor Foundation, distributed by none other than Larry Haber himself. The book was entitled John Titor, A Time Traveler's Tale. Very few were printed because of the low demand, and it introduced a new fake character, John Titor's mom, who wrote a couple fake letters in the book. It was part of the tale to be spun into a deeper, wider web, but I would say the mom character utterly failed. She was interviewed on radio shows, but very few people believed she was real. She was clearly a concoction of Larry Haber and company, and that company is Morey Haber. Interestingly, Pamela received a free copy of this book, inscribed by perhaps John Titor himself. I was curious about the book, especially the inscription and who sent it to her, and I asked the following question. Did Larry Haber send you the copy of the John Titor Foundation book? Who signed it? On Wednesday, March 11th, 2009 at 5:26 p.m., Pamela responded with the following. I'll share with you, Raz. I really don't know who sent me the book. I figured it came from the Foundation. Here is what it says on the inside of the book, and you can decide for yourself. It is written in cursive. Dear Pamela, we were instructed to send this to you, and I apologize it took so long. Rest assured, the family of the author is responsible for the book's origin. John is no longer with us. The family appreciates your support and apologizes for any hardship. So John Titor had my address, and so did the Foundation. Larry Haber had it also. Let's look at that again. It says, I apologize. It took so long. And then it says, the family appreciates your support and apologizes for any hardship. You gotta understand, the family is the Haber family. John Titor is Morey Haber. John Titor is apologizing for his trolling to the #1 troll victim, Pamela. Even to this day, Pamela wonders who John Titor is or was, but she did chat with him privately for many hours, night after night. Perhaps Morey Haber was looking for a chat mate, and perhaps he realized he took it a little bit too far. John Titor is no longer with us. Is Morey Haber retiring the fictional character, the troll identity? Morey Haber retired John Titor in 2001 officially, but he allowed it to continue through a fictional mother character, and when that went nowhere, who knows? He might have sold the rights at this point. But it is clear with this inscription that Morey Haber was, to a certain extent, remorseful for trolling Pamela, or perhaps he knew of a secret hardship which she never shared with anyone except for John Titor. An Italian TV show called Voyager, kind of like Unsolved Mysteries, wanted to know the true identity behind John Titor. The entire show is in Italian, and I never heard about it until 2009. I asked a friend to translate it into English. That's how I found Mike Lynch's conclusion. Voyager hired Mike Lynch, private investigator, to hunt down the true identity behind John Titor. This is an email Mike Lynch sent to me which sums up what happened. Richard Haber was very quiet and kind of odd. I thought it was also weird that he flew in from New York just to be present at the interview, and when both were asked off camera who would profit from the John Titor Foundation and any movie or book deal, they admitted that the buck stopped with them. I had discussed this with Larry Haber because he owns all the rights and copyrights to the story. What happened is Richard Haber was in town. He was probably interested in just seeing the fanfare of his brother being interviewed for a TV show. But at the same time, I guarantee you, Larry Haber wanted his brother Richard to be there, to throw private investigator Mike Lynch off the case. Both Larry Haber and Richard Haber have been protecting their blood brother, Morey Haber, the real John Titor, for a long time. Morey wants nothing to do with this story, but Richard is overjoyed to participate and help out and cover for his brother, and Larry had already signed up to be the official spokesperson a long time ago. The short amount of time private investigator Mike Lynch had, he did a great job. He came extremely close. He was dead on that it was a Haber all along. Independent of his investigation, I found the P.O. box that said John R. Haber, and that's why I thought it was Richard Haber for a short period of time. But Richard Haber has always been a decoy to throw people off the path. Mike Lynch did see my Hoax Hunter videos, and he complimented me, and he saw that I too have an investigative instinct. He said, "It was great hearing from you, and I too thought you did a great job with the story." But why did I spend a great deal of time comparing over 70,000 words between Morey Haber and John Titor? Why? What even motivated me to do that side-by-side comparison between the two in the first place? Nobody has asked me that. I'm actually surprised nobody has asked me that, because I would have to be psychic to just randomly do it. I had never even heard of Morey Haber, and when I decided to do it, I didn't even know where to find a program. Luckily, I did find WCopyFind. It's a free program you can download. It's very useful for, actually, like the South Park episode Troll Trace, it's useful to potentially find trolls, but only if those trolls have a big body of work. It only works if a troll has a huge body of work, many posts like John Titor has. So I am essentially the first person to troll trace John Titor. But why did I compare Morey Haber to John Titor? I spent like 3 months comparing the texts between John Titor and Morey Haber. That's 3 months to try to prove that Morey Haber is John Titor. Why did I even do it? It all started with the smallest clue. I hadn't searched anything on John Titor probably for 6 months at this point, maybe even a year. I didn't search for John Titor for 12 years straight, but I have put more hours into searching for Titor than anybody else on planet Earth, I believe, and I think the universe knew that. And I believe, for some strange reason, the universe decided to reward me with synchronicity, with solving the case. Art Bell talks about synchronicity, something that falls falls in your favor, and it seems like a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. It's synchronicity. I'm talking about the universe cosmically doing something. And this is what happened. I went to Facebook to do a search. I don't use Facebook hardly ever. This is the year 2011, just to give you a frame of reference. 2011, I decided to randomly do a Facebook search. This search lasted no longer than 10 minutes, probably the laziest, shortest search I've ever done on John Titor with the greatest results. I was actually searching my friends that had moved, and I decided to randomly type in Morey Haber, knowing that Morey Haber, being the official spokesperson, lawyer for John Titor, it's a stab in the dark, but maybe, just maybe, there's a small chance that whoever John Titor is, he's following Morey Haber on Facebook. So I clicked on Larry's profile, which was public. I clicked on his friends list, which was public. And in the sea of faces which didn't jump out, I wasn't looking for faces. I was looking for a clue. I was looking for something that said John Titor. Now, I expected like a fan page, like something like a fan page. All I saw was face after face after face. They all looked the same. I didn't click on any of them. I just scrolled down the faces until I saw an avatar. I saw an icon that jumped off the page and jumped out and said, hey, this is the avatar of John Titor. It seemed like the universe did point me in the direction saying, this is John Titor's avatar. It's peculiar. Click on it. And it really jumped out of the page, off the page. It was cliche. It was the silhouette of a computer hacker or a computer nerd surfing the internet in like a road sign design. I have this example. I'm not sure if this was the exact same one, but it was very close to this. Black and yellow, and I think it had a red border. And it was as anonymous as it gets, but it was a message saying, I'm a computer hacker or I'm a computer nerd, and the name associated with that avatar was Morey Haber. Up until this point, I had never heard of Morey Haber in my life. I didn't know anything about the Haber family other than Larry, Richard, and vaguely Brandon, Larry's son, posted on the Time Travel Institute forums. I didn't even know it was him until someone mentioned it, and I didn't pay much attention to those posts. Brandon seemed to only post on the Time Travel Institute forums to talk with the Titor fanboys. And the reason he was doing that, I believe, looking back, is because he knows who John Titor is. It's his uncle, Morey Haber. And I think after looking at all these clues, it's pretty clear Brandon almost idolizes his uncle Morey. And it's the reason he's such a big John Titor fan. He's really a fan of his uncle. He's a computer programmer. His uncle Morey is big into computers, programming, and stuff like that. Computer security, more specifically. So this avatar probably had more to do with Morey protesting the facial recognition software of Facebook, probably being weary of it, probably not wanting his face on Facebook. But it backfired because I knew that that was the avatar of John Titor. How did I know? It's almost a supernatural direction pointed me and said, that's John Titor. It seemed too obvious, right? About 1 week later, I went back to Morey Haber's profile. I think maybe to download the weird-looking avatar, which he clearly grabbed off of Google Images, and it was gone. He changed it to a really boring-looking face photo, similar to the Twitter photo he uses today. At that point, I said, you know what? He realized that looked too John Titor-ish, and that's probably why he got rid of it. Now, that tiny, tiny clue, which seems insignificant, it seems useless, it seems too small to matter. Because of that tiny clue, I did a side-by-side comparison of every single blog post of Morey Haber, compared it with every single post by John Titor. Arthur Haber sent me emails one day after I posted this thesis between Morey Haber's writings and John Titor's writings, proving they are the same person. If this doesn't convince you, it doesn't matter, because it convinced Arthur Haber, the brother of Morey Haber, that I knew that his brother was John Titor. He played the part of damage control, and his emails are proof alone that Morey Haber is John Titor. Continue watching. I will show you the emails Arthur Haber sent me. They are extreme over-the-top proof. It seems insignificant, but after doing the 71,000 side-by-side word search, over 71,000 words between Morey Haber's blog and John Titor's posts, I found phenomenal matches over and over, time and time again. Let's look at these matches one more time. The underlined in red are exact phrase matches. It's undeniable. And obviously, Morey Haber's not talking about time travel. He's avoiding that subject. He's talking about computer security. While John Titor is a character created by Morey, talking almost exclusively about fake future history, actual history, and time travel. Aside from all that, I know for a fact this is the avatar of John Titor. Perhaps Morey only had that on his Facebook for one day, maybe 1 week. I don't know, maybe a very short period of time, but I found it, and because of that one slip up, I did the keyword search, I made the video, the 40-minute video with the thesis, the Excel documents, all the matches for anyone to see, and his brother, Arthur Haber, another Haber I had never heard of, emailed me immediately and tried to cover for his brother Morey. Now, after Arthur emailed me, one day after I posted the video, that's when I knew for a fact Morey Haber is John Titor. Until then, it was just clue after clue building upon each other. It was me building a thesis, but it's no longer an educated guess. It's no longer a theory. I have confirmation through the actions. Actions speak louder than words. When Arthur Haber emailed me one day after I posted a video, it only had like 2,000, 3,000 views. At most, it had 4,500 views. That's insignificantly small compared to the overreaction email that Arthur sent me, claiming Morey is getting spammed, claiming, oh my gosh, everyone at work is giving him a hard time. First of all, I never put Morey's name in the title of the video. I put the real John Titor. That's it. You would have to watch the 40-minute video to even hear or see Morey's name. I did a search. Analytics can show me that most people stop watching after 4 minutes. That means a very small percentage of those 4,000 views were viewed by anyone, let alone anyone that knew who Morey Haber was. So this email is an overreaction. It was a damage control attempt. And that response email in and of itself is extreme over-the-top proof that Morey Haber is and always has been the author behind John Titor. Here's another example of actions speaking louder than words. Remember these Eyes View vlogger documentary guys who went down to look for the P.O. box?
The time traveler. No. We saw this video of this guy who, well, there is a real guy, or there is a guy who's a time traveler named John Titor. This other guy named Razimus, or the hoax hunter, says this guy's fake. And
well, they interviewed Larry Haber, Richard Haber, and Brandon Haber. The fact that Richard and Brandon volunteered or were recruited to act as John Titor decoys is very telling. John Titor isn't someone that's going to casually show up on a couch and be interviewed by some YouTubers. All right? John Titor's a guy who staked his life on being as anonymous as possible, never being tracked down. So why would Richard Haber and Brandon Haber volunteer or allowed to be recruited to protect some random client of Larry Haber? Do you honestly think Brandon Haber, son of Larry Haber, is going to be a decoy for John Titor and volunteer to be that decoy for some random client of his dad's? It's extremely illogical. It wouldn't happen. The reason Brandon volunteered or allowed to be recruited to be a John Titor decoy is because he's protecting his Uncle Morey. Period. It's between family, and so he's willing to step up and be that John Titor decoy if his uncle wants him to be. Look at it logically. Do you honestly think Richard Haber is going to be a John Titor decoy for some random client of his brother's? Or is he going to be a John Titor decoy to protect his brother Morey, who is John Titor? It's extremely logical that the entire Haber family has gathered together to protect Morey Haber, not some random client, not some random John Titor hoax client, but Morey Haber, the uncle and brother of these two that are protecting him. It's over the top crystal clear. Actions speak louder than words. The Haber family knows that they are setting themselves up to be John Titor decoys. Both Larry, Richard, and Brandon, all of them know that all eyes are on them, all people are going to suspect them. Actually, during this interview, Richard knew that he was a top suspect of John Titor, and yet he allowed himself to be interviewed, and he was honest in the interview to a certain extent, to the extent of he's not John Titor. Larry, Richard, and Brandon know full well the internet is gonna see someone saying, "I'm not John Titor," and automatically assume they are John Titor. These three Habers purposely set themselves up to protect Morey Haber and none else. Not a random client, but Morey Haber, their blood brother, their blood uncle. They love Morey Haber, they're protecting him. Now, perhaps even Morey said, "Hey, keep him off the lead. I don't want anyone to know I'm John Titor. I've gone to extreme lengths and measures over the past many years to keep this a secret. Please do anything you can to point someone in the wrong direction." Anyone investigating whether Larry, Richard, or Brandon are John Titor are going to eventually hit a dead end because they are not John Titor. But they know who John Titor is. Take a look at the smirk on Richard Haber's face. Take a look at the smirk on Brandon Haber's face. Larry Haber doesn't have a smirk because he's a professional lawyer, and lawyers know how to keep a straight face. But Richard and Brandon don't. They don't know how to keep a straight face. They are being truthful when they say they are not John Titor, but they are not being truthful by obviously keeping the secret that Morey Haber, their brother, their uncle, is John Titor. This smirk is a result of them knowing that Morey Haber is John Titor. This is the inside joke everyone in the family smirks about, laughs about, jokes about. It's an inside secret. They know it. They can smirk and laugh about it because they know for a fact Morey Haber is the author behind John Titor. The Mystery of John Titor, Hoax or Time Traveler by Rick Paulus. This article mentions my 40-minute video entitled The Real John Titor. That video received a response one day after I posted it by Arthur Haber, brother of Morey Haber, Larry Haber. Because of that video and the great amount of work that went into it, I received the proof from Arthur Haber immediately afterwards, so I know for a fact the video is a slam dunk. But let's take a look at this article. An investigation by amateur sleuth John Houston, who also goes by the name Razimus, uncovered a mysterious P.O. box in Celebration, Florida, belonging to the LLC. A group of friends with some downtime between gigs at their production company checked out the P.O. box themselves, but found nothing worthwhile. At some point, JohnTitorFoundation.com was created, offering some kind of nonsensical secret code to digital passers-by. And just a week ago, Houston released another video, this one 40 minutes long, in which he names Haber's brother Morey as his prime suspect by using a side-by-side analysis of phrase usage, which, to be kind, is not exactly a slam dunk. Hate to break it to you, Rick Paulus, but that video was a slam dunk. The brother of Morey Haber himself, one day after I posted the video, emailed me the following. Perhaps some of Morey's writing style or verbal communication rubbed off on Brandon. I ain't say that even Morey might have commented or helped. He won't claim that. Arthur knew that I was onto something, that I was dead on accurate, that John Titor and Morey Haber are interconnected. The Habers did their best to push me onto even Brandon, who was 9 years old when John Titor was conceived on the Art Bell program through a fax in 1998. There's no way, shape, or form it was Brandon. It was Morey. See, Arthur knew that the writing style, I had it locked in, so I wouldn't take the bait of it being a non-Haber. But he underestimated me to be able to see his attempt to persuade me to go another direction. I know for a fact Morey Haber is John Titor. That video I posted, The Real John Titor, is a slam dunk, and it's going to go down in history as the slam dunk video, which caused the response from Arthur Haber, which led to the final proof proving Morey Haber is John Titor. Who is Morey Haber? I just want people to know that I don't know much about Morey Haber other than he is John Titor. I'm 100% confident of that, or at least he's the author behind the fictional character that he invented back in 1998 and then in 2000, 2001. So Morey Haber is the time traveler in those 1998 faxes. In 2000, he went by Time Travel Zero, and then 2001, he went by John Titor. And those were strictly a role-playing game for him. It was trolling, but it was really sophisticated, intelligent trolling. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it's legendary. It's in Steins Gate, the anime, so there's a lot of good things to say about what John Titor spawned and all the different things it affected. The Wikipedia page alone, to this day, doesn't say who John Titor is, when I know it is Morey Haber. I stay out of people's personal life. I know nothing about Morey Haber other than I'm going to his Twitter page right now. I have no desire to expose or invade his personal life, but he must understand. John Titor's famous. So therefore, by association, he is famous. Not as famous as his character, John Titor, but when you post, "I'm a time traveler from the year 2036, and thousands of people believe that, 15 years later, 16, 17 years later, you deserve people to go to your Twitter and say, "Hey, is it true?" You deserve people to email you and say, "Hey, is it true?" You deserve people to Facebook you and say, "Hey, are you John Titor?" Because he is John Titor, all right? I have zero guilt in exposing his identity to the world. He thought he was too smart to be found out, but he wasn't. He tripped up. All I know about Morey Haber is what his Twitter profile says. Vice President of Technology at Beyond Trust. Beyond Trust is where he works, computer security company. That's all I know. Here is his picture, so there is no confusion. This is the Morey Haber I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through his tweets, except maybe his top one. Let's take a look. His latest tweet, as of this recording, is something about the Blair Witch Project. I believe I mentioned the Blair Witch Project in association with John Titor, which is interesting because I think someone who owns the movie script rights to John Titor, that they would have a Blair Witch Project mindset in mind. See, the people who sold the Blair Witch Project, and he was funded by major motion distributors, they loved the fact that some people thought he was real. When that movie first came out, I personally know people that weren't sure if the Blair Witch Project was real or not. They went to go see it and they were scared and they thought it was real. I watched the movie many years later. I didn't even get through it. I watched maybe 1/3 of the movie, and I couldn't get through it. I knew it was fake, but even if I didn't get tipped off, I would have immediately already known. You can tell acting from non-acting. Anyway, Morey Haber may or may not own the John Titor rights to the movie, but if he does own the rights to the movie script, or the movie rights to John Titor, I think a prominent movie in his mind would be the Blair Witch Project, because ticket sales went up, because people believed in the hoax. They believed it was real. John Titor, to be blunt, is a hoax, but people would theoretically go to the movie theater if they thought it was real. So it would affect ticket sales, possibly. But exposing a hoax is not illegal. Exposing the identity of an internet troll from many years ago is not illegal. And I use the word troll casually. I would not say Morey Haber is a troll. He's more of a genius, perhaps. Maybe he's a computer genius. He's into Stephen Hawking books. He's not the typical troll of today. The troll of today is going to do some horrible things. John Titor, I don't think, did really any horrible things. I think he was inspired by Art Bell's Time Traveler color line, by fantastical stories. I think he wanted to entertain people, and he accomplished that. The John Titor story has affected many, many things, so I think it's something Morey Haber should be proud of personally, and if I was him, after seeing this video, I would come forward and I would say, John Razimus is right. The hoax hunter is right. He found me out. Congratulations to him. He is the only one that was ever 100% accurate on the identity behind John Titor. So that is all I know about the personal life of Morey Haber, which is not much, other than, yes, I did go through his internet security blogs, but that was only for text comparison purposes. I didn't really read them for anything other than comparing phrases. Holes in the story. There are many. Apparently, the Habers think that every other person on planet Earth is too dumb to comprehend tiny details or huge plot holes. This is the official story of how Larry Haber became the official spokesperson and entertainment lawyer for John Titor. I'm playing the role of Brandon Haber, Larry Haber's son. I guess I'm around 13 to 16 years old at this point, and this is how the story goes, the official story. Operator, please. I would like to talk to anonymous time traveler, John Titor. Yeah, he posted on the internet anonymously, back in 2000 and 2001. He has an AKA of Time Travel Zero. Can you connect me to John Titor, AKA Time Travel Zero, please? Yeah, I mean, okay. All right. Turns out he lives in the same city as I do. He lives in Florida. He lives around Orlando, close to Celebration, Florida. Oh, that's very convenient. Okay, all right. Hey, Dad, I have John Titor on the line, the anonymous time traveler. Hey, anonymous time traveler John Titor, who lives in Florida, very close to me, in Orlando, Celebration-ish. Would you like to have some representation? My dad, he's an entertainment lawyer, and I assume your story's full of crap, but it passes as entertainment on these late-night radio shows, and my dad would like to represent you. There's no way that we're connected with you. I mean, it's not like we have your phone number. It can call you up. I just called the 411 lady, and she connected me right to anonymous time traveler John Titor. Hey, Dad, John Titor, the anonymous time traveler, said that he wants you to represent him. And that's the official story of how John Titor, the anonymous time traveler, became represented by Larry Haber. It's an impossible story. The holes in that story are many. That's the fake story, the garbage cover story, the story with 1,000,000 holes in it. This is the real story of how it actually happened. I'm playing the role of Morey Haber in this scene. Hey, Larry, you know that John Titor time travel story I made up and I posted it on Art Bell's forum? Yeah, apparently people believe it. It's hilarious. Potentially there's interest on Art Bell's show to have us on, but I don't want to reveal my identity. Will you represent me? And maybe there's a story. Maybe there's a book deal in the future. Who knows? Will you represent me? I mean, I'm not going to give you any money, but how about I cut you in 50-50? Whatever we make from this stupid John Titor story, I get 50%, you get 50%. Maybe there's a movie deal in the future. Who knows? But I think Art Bell's interested. Are you in? That's pretty close to how it actually happened. You see, when Larry Haber realized, I have to have a cover story of how I became your lawyer, he made up one with his son Brandon. See, his son Brandon is a fan of John Titor. Through his idol, Morey, his uncle. He really looks up to his uncle Morey, and he's a fan of going on the forums occasionally and laughing and joking with the John Titor fans because he knows the inside joke that Morey Haber is John Titor. Now, I may not have executed those scenes flawlessly. That's the huge hole in the story, and that's what happened. Give or take. Obviously, artistic license has taken place. You see where I'm going with this. There are huge holes in the story. All signs point to the Habers. All signs point to Morey Haber. For those with any doubt whether John Titor was a troll or not, and his name is Morey Haber, by the way, here's an example of John Titor trolling. Yes, he trolled when he said he was a time traveler, but he trolled within his trolling. Here is an example. Attention! The following is a secret message for all mindless robot slaves controlled by time travelers. If you are unable to read this, please disregard it. This is an emergency. Can someone do me a favor and look up everything they can on Maxwell's equations, relativity, and the formulas for volts and amps? I left all my physics books back in the time machine. And remember, just because I control your mind doesn't mean I think you're an idiot. Message over by John Titor, posted February 6th, 2001 at 6:35 a.m. on the Art Bell Post-to-Post forums. 1. He's embarrassed. Even though it's nothing to be really embarrassed about, sure, some would consider it trolling, but he was more like role-playing a time-traveling character, especially on an Art Bell forum, where that type of fan fiction, whatever you want to call it, was encouraged. They enjoyed the entertainment of people calling up and pretending to be a time traveler on Art Bell's time travel caller line, where only time travelers were allowed to call in. But Morey Haber wanted to be a little more anonymous, so he never called in. He instead faxed Art Bell and then later posted on a time travel forum, the Time Travel Institute, and then later posted on Art Bell's official forums, writing the famous words, "I am a time traveler from the year 2036. The person who wrote those words was Morey Haber, and by the end of this video, you're going to see the solid concrete proof, without a shadow of a doubt, that Morey Haber is John Titor. So potentially it embarrasses him that he invented John Titor. Many people are proud and admit that they are John Titor. In fact, I admitted that back in the day on the Back to the Future forum. I said, "I'm John Titor, I was inspired by Art Bell." Why did I do that? People screen capped that and claimed that I'm a fraud, using that as evidence, but that was actually part of my investigation strategy. I thought if I was the first person to come forward and say I'm John Titor, and as far as I know, I am the first person to come forward in that context, no one was doing it. I wanted Morey Haber, I wanted the real John Titor to come forward and say, "He's not John Titor, I am." Because it never worked, I never tried it again. But as you can see, many people have tried it over the years. 2. There are other obvious motives why he wouldn't want to come forward. He wants the John Titor mythos to continue to grow. The best way for that to happen is if the story remains an unsolved mystery. Another motive involves the financial aspect, which is extremely obvious and logical. If Morey Haber wants to adapt the John Titor story into a movie script and sell it as a movie, the story is much more intriguing and interesting, potentially, to audiences if it is an unsolved mystery. The Blair Witch Project, for example. When that movie first came out, some of the first people to see that movie were tricked into thinking it was potentially real. And that hoax, if you will, it was really a marketing strategy. It prompted ticket sales to rise. It's the reason, to this day, you know what I'm talking about when I say the Blair Witch Project. This is an obvious strategy for anyone that wants to turn John Titor into a movie script and get it into the theaters. It went viral at one time. The story dies and it comes back up, and usually it comes back up with fake Titors, pretending they are Titor. But the real John Titor is Morey Haber. I am 100% confident of this. Clearly, the John Titor identity is a joke within the Haber family. It's an inside joke. An inside joke is only funny if you get the joke. Arthur Haber doesn't know everything about John Titor. He's not a John Titor expert, but he doesn't have to be, because he gets the joke. The reason he gets the joke is because he knows the punchline. The punchline is, Morey Haber is John Titor. That's the joke. That's what's so funny. Ha ha ha. My brother invented that. That's hilarious. we see how far this has grown in folktale, and this is pretty funny. The reason Larry is laughing is because he knows Morey Haber is John Titor. The reason we do find this funny, it has been a joke here that has grown in folktale. We do find it funny. We really don't talk about it much as a family, other than the occasional joke. They find it funny, it's the occasional joke. The whole family, the inside circle of family members, they know about it. It's an old secret, it's an old joke that goes back 15 years, and so they don't talk about it on a regular basis. But Arthur claimed he was grilling them on my behalf, but really what was happening is he was asking them what he should tell me, and I guarantee you his brothers were giving him advice on how to misdirect me in the wrong direction. Before I show you all the emails Arthur Haber sent me, you will notice some of them contain redacted information. I removed what I call decoy information. This is information that Arthur sent me in an attempt to derail my investigation, to send me in any direction other than Morey Haber. I didn't redact all of them. For example, Brandon Haber is the most obvious decoy false lead I've ever seen, but Arthur tried to shove him on me. He even said he's a whiz kid prodigy and that he must have done it. We all know a 9-year-old didn't fax Art Bell in '98. We all know it was an adult who posted on those forums. All the evidence points towards Morey Haber, so let's go through the emails already knowing that Morey Haber is John Titor. Arthur Haber to me, Razimus@gmail.com, Monday, April 22nd, 2013 at 7:58 a.m., subject title, John Titor. Thanks for the wake-up this morning. Larry is laughing. Morey is getting spammed. 3 things for you, maybe 4. First, the name is pronounced with a long A, as in Haber. Second, Richard can hardly write well at all. Third, you left me out. Thank you. Fourth, if you reach back to me, I'll get you your answer and tell you why. Patience will be needed. Call or email. Arthur Haber. My response to this email was, obviously, Morey Haber is John Titor. Otherwise, I wouldn't have received an email to begin with. I said Richard Haber was probably John Titor back in 2009, and I received 0 responses from any Habers. In fact, 4 years went by, not a single contact with any Haber. Yet one day after my video, The Real John Titor, where I compared Morey Haber's writing style to John Titor's, I received an immediate response from Arthur Haber. That alone is telling. It tells me that Morey Haber is John Titor. I'm sure Larry was laughing because someone finally figured it out. I'm sure a few people were asking Morey, "Are you John Titor?" But he wasn't getting spammed, because when this email reached my inbox, my video only had around 4,500 views, and it was a 40-minute video with no mention of Morey Haber in the title or description. You had to watch through a 40-minute video to hear Morey Haber's name, proving to me that he was blowing the situation totally out of proportion in an attempt to claim they are somehow victims. Although I proved, with the writing style, with everything, this is even further proof. You do the trolling, consequences do eventually come to you, and this video is a consequence of that trolling. Arthur Haber to me, Monday, April 22nd, 2013 at 2:54 p.m. Hi John, with no disrespect, we do find this funny, and while at this immediate time I don't have the exact answer from my brother Larry, it has been a joke here that has grown in folktale. I'm sure I will have one soon. Morey got a huge kick out of it. He never thought someone would consider him. Of course, he could be BS me, but he says it's not him, and I tend to believe him. As this happened many years ago, here is my belief from the family. Brandon, Larry's son, started it. It is my opinion only. When this started and he was of age, I turned him on to sci-fi books, and in particular, I gave him Powell Anderson's Time Police, along with his Terminator passion. I think if it was him, and Larry threw in his brain, and maybe Brandon bounced this off of, as we are close as a family, family, perhaps some of Morey's writing style or verbal communication rubbed off on Brandon. I ain't say that even Morey might have commented or helped. He won't claim that. Just FYI, given the amount that Morey writes for internet security, and writes a lot, I can't discount the work you have done, but it does more point to Brandon than him. Richard, you can pass on. I can't see the skill or knowledge in my brother. Even though Morey got spoofed and slammed with your blog, he takes it in good jest, as he has had to change all his passwords. We do find it funny. Larry, at Disney, at the time, Morey, how a fishtail grows large and wide. We, of course, believe it a hoax or charade. Who doesn't? All I can say, since at least you were polite and thorough in your blog, and I respect that you did so in earnest, when I have this final answer or any additional info, I would guess as Larry said okay to pass on, and unless Larry is obligated to them or someone else, why not let you finish the story, I guess. Thanks for the fun we had today. Arthur Haber. Where do I begin responding to this one? This is the first false story response, probably in coordination with Larry and Morey. Tell him Brandon did it. Brandon, yeah. We have the same writing style. Brandon. He really shoves the Brandon narrative, and I've mentioned that in this video so many times, you're probably sick of hearing it. Brandon is not John Titor, is what I told him in my email response. You can see my email responses in the files in the link in the description of this video. There are so many angles I could take on responding to exactly what I was thinking when I read this email. The one that jumps out the most is he's trying to push Brandon, further proving Morey Haber is John Titor. I mean, that's a desperate move. You gotta understand Arthur's perspective. He's either doing it rogue by himself, or he's coordinating with Larry and Morey, and they're telling him what to say, what to do. They're trying any way to get me to forget about Morey. Morey is being set up as a victim. Oh my gosh, he has to change his passwords. No, he doesn't have to change his passwords. He never did. You know, if his passwords were weak, he should have never set weak passwords. But my video had nothing to do with him having to change his passwords. That's again playing the victim card. And it goes on and on and on and on. Poor Morey, he gets slammed by your blog. He didn't get slammed by my blog. He got slammed by reality because his trolling was found out. He is the author of a famous character. John Titor is very famous, and therefore it's up for grabs. Anyone who finds the identity of this famous character deserves and has the full well right to do so. Arthur Haber to me, Monday, April 22nd, 2013 at 4:38 p.m. Hi John, you and I have a similar passion for this stuff. I need not bore you with my details. As far as what I have said, I don't suppose I said anything in harm. Larry, I talked with him a few minutes ago and he said he'd tell me if I promised to keep it a secret. Likely I will choose to know and honor this, or not. He still laughs at my thoughts it's Brandon, and commented just what Brandon needs, in sarcasm. Brandon is a fine young man, a brilliant programmer having worked on the Orion Space Project in Texas, the now defunct Bigelow Space Hotel. I did ask Larry the original intention of this whole thing. It was done for fun and amusement. Something small and simple that took on a life of its own. The Montauk Project is a good story. Used to vacation there when we lived on Long Island. Historical theologian, and there is a big story there. Christopher Columbus and his truth is another. Anyway, I ramble on. It is your job, and as I said, even if not what we see correct, I respect the huge amount of effort you put it to bringing it to light. Larry Roswell. I don't know the whole story, but you can ask him if you can catch him when he's not busy. Thanks for the chat and best of luck with your work. I know it is appreciated. Arthur Haber. So this email again is chock full of an attempted mind game, but it never worked. Here is Arthur starting off trying to build common ground, a very common strategy among salesmen. I was a car salesman for a few months. Building common ground with your client, with the person you're trying to sell something to, is the first thing you want to do. So what is Arthur Haber trying to sell me? After that, he tells me he doesn't know who John Titor is, and that Larry promised he would tell him who John Titor was if he promised to keep it a secret. Wait. Hold up. Are you telling me one day after I posted a video comparing Morey Haber's writing style to John Titor's writing style, one day after, Arthur Haber emails me and said he's going to get me the answers. And then he emails me again and says, he doesn't know who John Titor is, and Larry's going to tell him if he promises to keep it a secret. First of all, you know how unbelievable it is that an inside family secret that everyone in the whole family jokes and laughs about because they know the punchline that Morey Haber is John Titor? He's trying to convince me that he doesn't know who John Titor is. After I post an obscure video with a few thousand views on an obscure YouTube channel where I don't use Morey's name in the title or the description. It's only in a 40-minute video that barely anyone has gone through. I know, because the analytics show people stop watching at a few minutes. It's extremely unbelievable that everyone in the Haber family, especially the close brothers, don't know who John Titor is. My video didn't cause the Haber family to know who John Titor was. They always knew. It's hilarious that he thinks I'm so dumb that I'm actually going to buy this completely bogus story. After that bogus story, we get another one, even worse. I replied to his first Brandon bombardment by telling him it's not Brandon. Brandon was 9 years old in 1998. An infant didn't type those posts, period. Yet unsolicited, I didn't ask for this information. I disregarded it immediately. With zero interest in following the false lead of Brandon, he continues to barrage me with the gauntlet of Brandon information that I never asked for. I didn't ask for any of this Brandon information, yet he continues to give me details about Brandon. I never asked about Brandon once, ever, but time and time again he brings up Brandon. Here he says, he laughs at my thoughts that it's Brandon, just what Brandon needs. Brandon is a fine young man, a brilliant programmer, having worked for the blah blah blah. I don't care where he worked, alright? He's not John Titor and I'm not interested in him, but Arthur Haber does tell the truth occasionally. Here's one example of him telling the truth. I did ask Larry the original intention of this whole thing. It was done for fun and amusement, something small and simple that took on a life of its own. So I believe that is an accurate statement and I believe that is true. That most definitely Morey Haber started posting for fun and he was a small little thing and it grew into something huge. At the end of the email, he makes a statement, I'm a historical theologian, and there's a big story there. This is Arthur attempting to inject himself as a candidate of John Titor. Obviously, from the get-go, the Habers were hoping I would think Arthur Haber is John Titor. Since I've never heard of him, that's great that he's a historical theologian, that's great. But he's not John Titor. He's not the person behind the authorship. He does not have the writing style, but decoy information after decoy information I have to redact. Larry and Roswell. Roswell is a key piece of decoy info which he really tried to push on me. I don't care about Roswell. Don't care. I'm investigating John Titor, not Roswell. Arthur Haber to me, Wednesday, April 24th, 2013 at 6:27 a.m. Hi, John. Thanks for the email. You write well, and I enjoyed reading. May I ask, if you don't mind, roughly, where do you live? Just curious. On Montauk, many visits when I and the family, Larry as well, Brandon was just born. Larry was at, and we had a business in Brooklyn. Anyway, sorry, it was all vacation. And if you do go out, I recommend you treat it like a vacation. Enjoy the beach, deep sea fishing, if that's your thing. Great seafood and lobster rolls. Lots of pretty ladies. I've read about this as well when I was out there. I don't remember if it was a magazine or book, but I have heard of it. I am of no use to you here, except to suggest you enjoy. Briefly, my shelves growing up were filled with the Loch Ness Monster, Von Daniken, Bigfoot, UFOs, time travel, Jules Verne, all that stuff a child of the 60s and 70s could find. So I do share with you the joy of the subject matter. Larry, Brandon, him. What I think is worth sharing is that Brandon, even at 11/12, was brilliant. He won national debate championships. He could plow through an Asimov novel in a day or two. But this could be my pride, as well as ignorance of this story, as I knew a little, and only in the last few days have read what has happened over so many years. Morey was told the identity yesterday. He was getting flack over it from work, I believe. I don't know if you know what his position is currently. From Larry, he will tell me, and I need to promise not to tell, which I will honor, but I suppose I am okay to say who it is not. In that way, I might help. Back to Brandon. Many additional smart people were available to him at that time. You can Google. Larry's involvement as an attorney and socialite even then was an extensive group of people and inventors. There were so many here and abroad. I guess beyond that I don't have more, but we have several gatherings this week and as a family. For Larry, more so than my birthday, and Brandon is in town, so a Star Trek showing tomorrow and lunch on Sunday. WTF, let's see what I can learn more. I have seen and learned too much to believe that many things are possible. Just a few tidbits to get off my head, simply because I carry on, and they might interest you. On UFOs. We have seen some things. I can tell you what. I can only tell you, it is not nothing. On Loch Ness, the rostral truth, before Alton's book and the eel is of joy to read about. Roswell, Larry, he. I'll ask him more tomorrow. Do you want to chat with Larry? I appreciate your time and listening. I won't burden you with my stories unless asked, but I will follow up with the family on Titor and Roswell and let you know what I learn. As I mentioned, where you live, I can ask if you want to fly in and meet all of them. Oh, and sorry about the video. I did not wish to share. Yeah, kinda lengthy, but I respect that. Most have no attention span today. Arthur Haber. This email starts off asking a personal question. Roughly, where do you live? Just curious. Now, I know why he's asking this. It's clearly to check the laws in my state. And here is Arthur shoving the "he is John Titor" narrative on me with all the time travel and UFO books he's read. No, you're not John Titor. I'm not buying it. Sorry. And here is the Brandon narrative being pushed on me again. More personal information on Brandon I never asked for. Look at all this personal information. This is a bunch of personal family information I never asked for. I'm trying to prove the identity of John Titor. I'm not writing a biography on the Haber family. Morey was told the identity yesterday. Wait a second. Wait a second here. There is no way in heck Morey Haber was told the identity yesterday. Let's look at that date again. April 24th, 2013. Remember, I posted my video on April 21st. That's 3 days after I posted my video. I posted my video 3 days before this barrage of emails. So Arthur is claiming, because I posted a video on YouTube, that Morey Haber was now told the identity of John Titor from Larry Haber. This is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life. Alright, Arthur Haber already knew, Morey Haber already knew, Richard Haber already knew, Brandon Haber already knew, Larry Haber of course knows, and they all know because Morey Haber is John Titor. But he's trying to push a false narrative to get me to think that it's not Morey. In the second line, he says something very important. Pay attention to this. He says, "From Larry, he will tell me, and I need to promise not to tell, which I will honor. But I suppose I'm okay to say who it is not. In that way, I might help." Obviously, he's pushing me off into decoy areas to push me into a false lead, but whether he knows it or not, he actually is helping me. By not helping me, he actually is helping me. 3 days after I posted my video on Wednesday, April 24th, 2013, at 6:27 a.m., he said, "But I suppose it is okay to say who it is not." Arthur Haber admits to knowing who John Titor is at this point. Keep this in mind, because he changes his stance on this in a later email. Back to Brandon. What? I never talked about Brandon. Never asked about him once. Ever. This is more forcing the Brandon narrative on me over and over and over and over and over again. Obviously, they all think this Brandon narrative is gold. Oh, he'll buy that Brandon thing. Keep telling him Brandon, Brandon, Brandon. Didn't work. Let's move on. Just a few tidbits to get off my head, simply because I carry on and they might interest you. UFOs. No, UFOs are a decoy subject. You want me to talk about UFOs or focus on UFOs, a literal black hole mystery that I am not interested in, alright? I'm interested in the solvable John Titor. I do have opinions on UFOs, but this video is not about UFOs. And in those emails, I was 0% interested in UFOs, or Roswell, or aliens, or anything other than John Titor's identity and proving it. On Loch Ness, Alton's book and the eel, Roswell. I'm not interested in these decoy subjects, alright? Loch Ness? I forgot about— what the crap? He's trying to throw Nessie at me? I don't think so, dude. Your brother Morey Haber is John Titor. Thanks for the decoy information, but no thanks. As I mentioned where you live, I can ask if you want to fly in and meet all of them. The guys who live in Orlando drove up and met you guys, and you just told them the old story, the old runaround. I don't want to be told the runaround in person. That's what would happen if I met them. I know Morey Haber is the author behind John Titor, but I have no desire to fly to Disney World just to meet him. Arthur Haber to me, Sunday, April 28th, 2013, 1:15 p.m. Hi, John. I, of course, understand a bit of the nature of your business. A little of certain people types that hold with passion and conviction beliefs that are not mainstream or logical. What you choose to do with any information I respect as well. It is your career. Equally, I hear from family today a degree of apathy for what you do or others do, especially in regard to this topic. I don't pass any judgment, nor do I travel in the same circles, beliefs, or values as my brothers. They, even though I have asked for them their time to iterate on this, they reply, "You chat, we have no time or use." Sad. Just as people, it is sad. So please do as you wish. It is and always will be your decision. With regard to today's discussion, when I brought the topic up, it was eye rolls. Brandon, Larry, speaking about you was simply, "I can't believe this story is still around." Verbatim quotes from Brunch. Really, as a family, this was a topic for my maybe one season or two and not talked about at all. In fact, I learned more from you and other sites than I learned anything from family. Basically, they shook their heads and dropped it. Morey stated the tit, or is teat, although I say tit. Did they tell me? Hell no. Perhaps they don't trust me. Perhaps the entity is still making more money or trying to. Sometimes everything is about money. I will promise you this. Since I truly know no one else, when I know, I will send you an email that you can do with whatever you please. It will be the closest to the horse's mouth I can offer. Why would I do this? I have nothing to gain and wish nothing either. I suppose it is partially motivated by I am pissed. I don't know. I might not have even reached out to you if I did. I think I have exhausted the family gatherings and opportunities on this subject for a while, and I'll readdress it in a few months. They really have no interest. Someone started it, and as we agree, the fishtail grew. An answer is needed. Truly all the best, John. I do feel bad that even 6 minutes is too long for some people, or that even if your answer was 100% correct, opposition will always be there based on one's own view. Best of luck, Arthur Haber. A repeating theme in a few emails from Arthur is he keeps referring to my YouTube channel as my career and my business. I never confirmed that was the case. It's simply a hobby. No one can live on the meager amounts that YouTube doles out for a tiny channel like mine. I do it for fun. I investigated John Titor out of pure curiosity to challenge myself if I could do it, and I succeeded. The reason I even mentioned this is because it's clear he's trying to peg my investigation as a business so somehow they can have legal action. I guarantee you, I have nothing. I'm flat broke. Arthur admitted many times in the emails that he was talking to Larry and Morey, so they are having group meetings. This is a fact. During brunch, he mentioned me, and it was eye rolls, and there were quotes such as, "I can't believe this story is still around," and I believe that's a true quote, and I blocked out the other quotes because they were full of decoy information that I'm not going to follow up on. One extremely big clue is here. Morey stated that the tit, or is teat, although I say tit. That is a huge clue. I say John Titor. That's the common pronunciation, but the diehard fans call it Titor, or even Titor. Now, the fact that Morey corrected Arthur is proof that Morey Haber is a John Titor fanboy, that Morey Haber is a John Titor nerd, because he is the author behind John Titor. He's a fan of his own creation, and he's correcting someone. Now, Arthur says tit or teat, but he could have forgot. It could have actually been Titor. I guarantee this is a huge clue. Morey Haber corrected him, and he revealed this information not knowing that it is actually a really big clue. Arthur Haber promises me he will send me the identity of John Titor in the future. This is never going to happen, all right? He has zero desire to ever reveal it to me. The entire barrage of emails has been mind game after mind game after mind game. I have blanked out the extreme over-the-top mind games. I'm actually showing you the weak mind games. I will promise you this when I know I will send you an email that you can do with whatever you please. It will be the closest to the horse's mouth I can offer. And then he goes on to tell me the motivation why he would even want to reveal John Titor's identity to me. He says, I have nothing to gain, and I wish nothing either. I suppose it's partially motivated by I am pissed. I don't know. I might not have even reached out to you if I did. So he admits here he was pissed off. He was pissed off at his brothers. Do you think he's going to be pissed off at some random client of his brother? No. He's going to be pissed off at his brothers. They had a little spat. They argued. Maybe he was fighting to reveal the information to me, but they won out, and I guarantee you, 10 years are going to go by, and I'm not going to receive any confirmation. I never would have, but I am obviously compromising my investigation by releasing this video. But at the same time, I'm propelling the investigation with this video. Whatever happens next, we will see the next era in the saga of the response from the Habers. A few times I told Arthur that it's very unlikely that anyone is spamming anyone because very few people went through the 40-minute video. I can see the analytics. Very few people go past a few minutes. He totally ignored it, but he does make a few offhand comments concerning the length of my videos. I do feel bad that even 6 minutes is too long for some people, or that even if your answer was 100% correct, opposition will always be there, based on one's own view. And that's true. That's YouTube in a nutshell. Even though I have presented over-the-top evidence and proof that Morey Haber is John Titor, there will be the John Titor fans who believe he's a real time traveler and think I'm some kind of enemy. I'm not the enemy. I'm an objective investigator. Arthur Haber to me, Thursday, March 24th, 2016 at 9:52 p.m. Hi John, nice to hear from you. Glad to see you are still busy. The last time we as a family chatted on this, it was only that it was a client. Someone I didn't know. But Morey did and does know who, and may have lived near Larry when he lived in Celebration. Don't know why my PITA brother won't tell me. Maybe because I'd share with you and anyone else. Do you wish me to forward your email to him? Don't know if anything might result. I love him, but he's still a lawyer, and they watch words so well. What would be the type of help I could ask him specifically? If you think he might view how you view this in a negative way, and I can ask him. Of course, I'd want him to know the info if passed forward, but I'd be happy to paraphrase a non-quote. Art. This email is from March of 2016, 3 years later. So these are recent emails. So 3 years have gone by and I still haven't gotten the identity of John Titor. But let's go back 3 years and see what he said 3 years ago. 3 years ago, Arthur said, I talked with Larry a few minutes ago and he said he'd tell me the identity of John Titor if I promised to keep it a secret. He also said in 2013, from Larry, he will tell me, and I need to promise not to tell, which I will honor. Let's pretend this bogus information is true. The fact is, Arthur knew long before I posted a video. The Haber brothers all know and they all knew. It's a Haber secret, they keep it a secret because they see it as a valuable thing. They can possibly sell it as a movie script, for example. But 3 years later, he claims he doesn't know. That's totally bogus, because 3 years ago, he said his brother would tell him. He said, from Larry, he will tell me, and I need to promise not to tell, which I will honor, but I suppose I'm okay to say who it is not. So he already knows at that point. He is admitting to knowing at that point 3 years ago, 3 years fast forward, and now he doesn't know. That's totally bogus. And this is one of the reasons why I'm even making this video, because I know I've compromised the investigation, but it's alright, because the investigation is over. Morey Haber is John Titor. I have the proof. A treasure trove of proof was provided, purposefully or accidentally, it's hard to say. Arthur to me, Friday, March 25th, 2016 at 5:31 p.m. Hi John, we will be gathering tomorrow as a family. I'll ask him why the info can't be released. Is there anything from the movie rights sale that would help? Is there any kind of a bone I can ask him that would help you? Certainly, I can ask him when the info might be released. We really don't talk about it much as a family, other than the occasional joke. We simply accept that his position is the truth. A client that fabricated the story for some reason. Maybe he will share that. Morey has had, especially after your work was released, but that's more because of his job in internet security and his position. When one Googles him, John Titor is there, and they have spent money trying to scrub that. No disrespect, but truly great conspiracy stuff. But they are my brothers leading their life, and if there is truly secrets there, they wouldn't tell me. I have heard more about UFOs, but all generalities. The smoking gun evidence. Any of that of any use? I appreciate what you do. I may not always agree, but I am grateful that you dedicate yourself to your beliefs. Truly, if I can help in any way, I'll try. But short of a name and proof, I can always try catching him off guard. Hope your health is well, Art. So here Arthur is admitting it is an occasional joke in the family, and then he says something which would be directed at someone that believes John Titor is a time traveler. He's confusing my investigative purpose with someone that believes John Titor is a time traveler. Let's make this clear. I never from day one, for the first second, ever believed, for even a split second, that John Titor was anything other than a troll. He says, we simply accept that his position is the truth. A client that fabricated the story for some reason. Maybe he will share that. And then he goes on to the sob story of Morey being the victim. Morey has had blank, especially after your work was released. But that's more because of his job in internet security and his position. When one Googles him, John Titor is there, and they have spent money trying to scrub that. Who has spent money trying to scrub that? First of all, Morey Haber is John Titor. John Titor is the character Morey Haber authored, invented, so he deserves to have his name permanently embedded next to John Titor's for the end of time. And then he goes on to more decoy information with UFOs. I don't care about UFOs. I never asked him once about UFOs, ever. And then he has a lot of decoy information, which is so decoy, I don't want to share it. And he calls this decoy information the smoking gun evidence. And then he says, any of that of any use? No, it's not. Sorry. But your previous emails were of use, and because of them, I know for a fact Morey Haber is John Titor. Arthur to me, Friday, March 25th, 2016 at 6:12 p.m. I'll ask. Morey knows, but he's tighter than a TRTL-30 safe. His work with the and internet security means lots of secrets. In general, I talk too much. Can't you tell? Morey is insanely secretive. Larry is less. But I'm the black sheep in the family. I lean heavily on things that fall outside the box. I am a historical theologian. I see through humanity and time. And I not only accept the paranormal, I have had my own experiences. All of that is foreign to my 3 brothers, so they don't share many things. I don't think he heard the show, but I will certainly ask all I can, and get back to you tomorrow. Maybe something good will come. Last reason, when the story released, we were all in different places in our lives. Arthur Haber. So Morey is tighter than a TRTL-30 safe, whatever that is. That's because he is John Titor. Yes, you do talk too much, I can tell, but most of the things you talk about are trying to push me in the wrong direction. Morey is insanely secretive, Larry is less, but I'm the black sheep in the family. If you're the black sheep in the family, then you can confirm to me after you see this video that Morey Haber invented John Titor. I would appreciate it if you confirmed that. I lean heavily on things that fall outside the box. I am a historical theologian. I see through humanity and time. Let me reread that real quick with an echo. I am a historical theologian. I see through humanity and time. I mean, if he's not trying to push the he's John Titor narrative, I don't know what he's trying to do, because it just comes off like that. And I not only accept the paranormal, I have had my own experiences. All of that is foreign to my 3 brothers. I can relate to that. I know people that don't believe in the paranormal whatsoever. But concerning John Titor, I know for a fact he's a troll as opposed to an actual time traveler. And I know for a fact John Titor is the TRTL-30 safe, aka Morey Haber. Arthur to me, Saturday, March 26, 2016 at 1:20 p.m. Hi John, hopefully some info that will mean something. Of course, when I ask who, I get no answer, but I do have a new one for you. On Art Bell's show, and the new Titor, he shrugged his shoulders and said, the same BS, and how amazed at what's been self-created, cult-like. in the growth around this with all the fabrications. He said was thinking of commenting about it on a specific Facebook page for Titor. I guess maybe there is more than one, but decided he didn't want the follow-up hassle. The picture, no clue. Someone made a prop. From my work, you can see the wood grain reflecting off the black painted side, which is a quick, bad home paint job. Now some new news, not supposed to be known. He said it was okay to share. When I asked why, the story was written by his client years ago. He said if he answered that, it would give it away. The new news is that individual, in respect for services rendered, has transferred all rights of ownership to him. Larry is now the sole owner of the John Titor business. This is not publicly known, and yes, he is working on a movie. As an entertainment attorney, he certainly is connected, and you may be right that this was all originally a publicity stunt, as the internet was new to see if they could fabricate this story and interest. So for now, with a grin, he is happy to say he is John Titor. You see, I know how to get under his skin too, and to the degree that I told him, you work from home, this is your life, and this vehicle is being threatened by others in the system. He would be doing a good deed to help me help you, by allowing something to pass forward. If any of what I said is wrong, my apologies. I just wanted to push the buttons for you. Hope this is of use. Art. So I asked, knowing that Arthur Haber has zero desire to share with me that his brother Morey Haber is John Titor, I decided to ask him about the fake John Titor 2. Knowing that the John Titor 2 is totally independent from the original John Titor, I was curious if John Titor 2 was represented by Larry Haber. This is Larry Haber's official response to this new fake John Titor 2 guy. He shrugged his shoulders and said, the same BS, and how amazed at what's been self-created, cult-like, in the growth around this with all the fabrications. So apparently, it's pretty clear, John Titor 2 is not represented by the official spokesperson for the official John Titor. But in regards to the cult-like growth around this with all the fabrications, that could come to a close. That could be stopped with one single person coming forward. His name is Morey Haber. He is the author of the fictional character John Titor, and he refuses to come forward. But if he did, the cult-like growth around it, with people practically worshipping John Titor as a god, would cease to happen on a major level. I asked Arthur about the C204 box that John Titor slapped together, or someone he paid, or someone he knows, probably in the family, someone made it. I was curious if Arthur had seen it before, stumbled upon it in a closet somewhere, in the garage, underneath a tarp, who knows? And this was his response. The picture, no clue. Someone made a prop. From my work, you can see the wood grain reflecting off the black painted side, which is a quick bad home paint job. Now this could theoretically be a confession. Let's pretend it is real quick. From my work, you can see the wood grain reflecting off the black painted side, which is a quick, bad home paint job. Now, it's possible Arthur Haber saw this time machine prop being built. It's possible he was even recruited by his brother to build it. If he's handy with making props, with making things with wood and whatnot, he might have been recruited to actually build it. But there's a good chance Arthur has actually seen the C204, the actual one. So more decoy information, more garbage information. I apologize, Arthur, but this is complete garbage. I'll give you an example. Some new news, not supposed to be known. He said it was okay to share. The new news is that individual, in respect for services rendered, has transferred all rights of ownership to him. Larry is now the sole owner of the John Titor business. This is not publicly known. And yes, he is working on a movie. Actually, it is publicly known, and it's been publicly known since 2008. Actually, even before that, when he went on late-night radio shows, he would talk about that, and he would explain that and say that verbatim. And he went on the Voyager Italian TV show and said that verbatim. But the show was in Italian, and I had someone translate it into English. And that's exactly what Larry Haber said. He said he is the sole owner of the John Titor business, all money and rights go to him, and essentially he is John Titor. And then later, in the email, he repeats exactly that. So for now, with a grin, he is happy to say he is John Titor. So officially, business-wise, he's happy to say that, and he's been saying that at least since 2008 on the Voyager show. You see, I know how to get under his skin too. Now this is telling. This is a tell. Arthur not once ever said anything about Larry not liking me or disliking me. But clearly, this is the case. Apparently, I get under Larry Haber's skin, which I think is pretty funny. I didn't know that. I didn't know my videos were so consequential that I got under his skin, but apparently they are. Hope this is of use. Now, this isn't of use really, particularly, but your previous emails, where you say that Morey Haber's writing style must have rubbed off on Brandon, and Brandon must be John Titor. Those were very telling. So I thank you for the emails you did send me. They're the best proof anyone's going to come across anytime soon, short of Morey Haber coming forward. Arthur to me, Saturday, March 26, 2016 at 3:54 p.m. I was told you could use it. When he has something next, or if you wish to email me in a few months, I'll see if I can gather more. Sorry that while I wish this one was true, because we do talk about other things, this was a controlled hoax. And when I rewind these years, I think somewhere it was said, let's see how far the internet will take this. Please do send me a link to whatever you release next on this. Good luck, Art. March 26th of 2016. This is the very last email Arthur ever sent me. He says, I was told you could use it concerning the emails he sent me. Now, concerning his name, they're unsolicited emails to begin with, and legally I can share them, but I did block out many things for privacy. I'll see if I can gather more. You already know who John Titor is. You've known it's your brother Morey Haber for a long time, and so there's not much you can gather except off the internet, I'm guessing. I've been investigating this for 12 years. I heard the 1998 show where John Titor faxed Art Bell live. I listened to that 1998 show live. So I've been thinking about it ever since then, but I immediately knew he was just one of the regular callers who makes up a story. I didn't know who it was, but now I know it's Morey Haber. And this is a statement he seems to be giving because maybe he knows I'm going to put this in a video. This statement is for the people that believe John Titor is a time traveler. Sorry that while I wish this one were true, because we do talk about other things, this was a controlled hoax. And when I rewind these years, I think somewhere it was said, let's see how far the internet will take this. And that's a fitting end to the emails that Arthur sent me. Thank you, Arthur. I do appreciate everything you did send to me. I understand if you don't want to email me ever again. And I understand why you were protecting your brother, but I think it's best for the world if John Titor's originator comes forward. This is the end, my only friend, the end. Is this 2 hours? What the freak? Anyway, let's watch a South Park related analogy, and then I assure you, this video will be over. Let's take a look at the Troll Trace analogy for a second. Troll Trace is just a fictional project by the Danish on South Park. It was a huge building in Denmark. As you can see, the servers were extremely huge because it took extreme amounts of computing power to trace trolls through emojis, through different word searches, and that's essentially what I did when I compared Morey Haber's writing with John Titor's writing. I troll traced John Titor and it led to Morey Haber. Instead of taking an entire building of servers and huge amounts of computing power to find the identity of many trolls, it took me 3 months of going through every single blog post by Morey Haber, every single forum post by John Titor, and comparing the two. It was a lot of work. So even one single troll trace of one single troll, John Titor, took a lot of work. So I can actually see if any type of troll trace technology did exist, it would take a lot of computing power and a lot of time. In South Park, what happened is they focused on Fort Collins, Colorado. And it was a nice, peaceful city, and after they released Troll Trace, it was a huge disaster for the city. Riots everywhere, everyone was attacking each other because everyone trolled on each other. And obviously it was a joke and it was just comedy purposes, but I think it's a pretty good analogy for Morey Haber. This is what Morey Haber likely did back in the year 2000 and 2001 on the forums pretending to be a time traveler. He would dim the lights in his room, he would get his favorite record, put it on, he would pour some wine, and he would get ready to troll as John Titor. In South Park, the character's troll name was Skankhunt42. John Titor was sort of like Skank Hunt 42, except obviously a lot more classy, a lot more intelligent. Skank Hunt 42 was just the typical troll of today, which did pretty obscene things. So John Titor wasn't on a crude level like that, but let's just look at the life of a troll for a second. Skank Hunt 42 would have a great time. It was hilarious to him. He would troll for fun. His entire motivation was for laughs, was for the lulz. That was the only thing that caused him to want to troll. For fun, he thought he was funny, it was hilarious to him. I believe that is likely the real intention of John Titor ever posting a second time. Maybe the first time was an experiment, but the second time was, oh, you're really buying this? And it was fun. It was just a joke, and it was a joke that led to having his brother on as his spokesperson being interviewed on late night radio shows. So it led to a lot of things. Take a look at Skank Hunt 42 or Gerald, Kyle's dad, on South Park. After trolling the next day, he was happy, he was smiling, he was having a good time. I guarantee you that's probably the same reaction Morey Haber had the day after playing the role of John Titor. He was happy. Nobody knows it's him, so he's laughing and smiling and having a great time. I guarantee you it wasn't Brandon, 9-year-old Brandon, or 10 or 11-year-old Brandon. I guarantee you it was Morey Haber. Here is a depiction of Gerald, aka Skank Hunt 42, trolling away. He's having a great time. And here, just for illustrative purposes, I've put Morey Haber's face over Gerald, and this is Morey Haber as John Titor. If Troll Trace existed, I don't think it would hurt Morey Haber at all. He seems like a nice guy. He's not the typical troll of today. He's far more intelligent. He created an entertaining character like many of the characters on Art Bell. I would put John Titor in the realm of Mel's Hole, of Madman Markham, of Single 7, of a lot of the different fictional characters created for entertainment purposes. At the end of the day, no one is saying, oh no, that guy ruined my life. In no way, shape, or form has John Titor ruined anyone's life, and if anyone claims that, I would say they really need to look at themselves. While Morey Haber thought it was funny posting as a time traveler, I have to admit, finding his identity is a little bit funny. So the one thing about Troll Trace is it puts a smile on the face of someone else, as opposed to the troll for once. Thank you for watching. I've been John Razimus. Wait a second, let's talk about a few things I missed. What did I miss? Oliver Williams, the guy who runs JohnTitor.com. He also runs JohnTitorFoundation.com. I found proof back in 2013 that he updates his domains on the same day, and I even checked yesterday, and he still updates them close to each other, but in 2013, I assure you, he updated them on the exact same day. It's not a coincidence. Oliver Williams, I call him AKA Oliver Williams, he's a false lead. He is not John Titor. He is a very secretive person that wants people to think he's John Titor. He might have had a contract with the Habers, but he is not Morey Haber. He is his own entity. He registered JohnTitor.com. He's a big fan, but at the same time, he's moved on. He is not John Titor. Forgot to mention this, Morey Haber is an IT securities expert. He's exactly the type of person that would have been hired in 1999 to fix the Y2K bug. He's heavily in the IT securities computer industry. I believe he used his passion in computers and perhaps his fear of the Y2K bug in his fictional John Titor story. Not to mention that I've read over 51,000 words of Morey Haber's IT securities blog, in which he loves IBM and does not like Apple. John Titor loved IBM so much, he went back to 1975 to get an IBM 5100. The IBM 5100 has an obscure security feature, allowing it to not be affected by the Y2K bug. It would have showed 2000 if people used them in the year 2000, which nobody did, but it was a security feature that only IBM super nerds would have known about. Morey Haber would have known this fact. He is an expert in this field. This is further proof that Morey Haber is John Titor. What about the fake John Titors? There's a million fake John Titors everywhere. You know, I confessed in 2008 on the Back to the Future forums, and people took a screenshot. Here is that screenshot, June 9th, 2008. I am John Titor. I got the idea from Art Bell's Time Traveler caller line in 1997 and came up with this story. I have 1999 posts that can back this up. I will make a vlog about it sometime. My first name is John, and I'm a John Travolta fan, and I wanted the initials to be JT. I chose Terminator because I'm a Terminator fan. Anyway, just forget the whole story. Try to focus on a story even more true to life. Back to the Future. So why did I post this bogus story? Alright, I'm not John Titor. Why did I fake confess to being John Titor? I'll tell you why, right here and now, for the first time ever. It was my strategy to try to get the real John Titor to come forward, to subtly say here and there that I'm John Titor. I wanted him to take credit and reveal himself, but he never came forward. So every fake Titor since then learned the same thing that I learned in 2008. The real John Titor will never come forward, even if you claim you are John Titor. But I am surprised of the fake Titors making money off of it when you think he would own the rights to his own story. A few years after this, someone did come forward claiming to be John Titor. They wanted to be on late-night radio shows, and it didn't work out so well because they couldn't prove it. If I've left anyone out of this video that claims to be John Titor, it's because they couldn't prove it either.
John Titor. I created the character. That is the bottom line. Start to create these delusional fantasies in which they have a love interest with John Titor. And in conclusion, I would like to say that I will provide evidence. As I've stated, I would also like to say, Razimus, you're like a little kid brother. Why don't you start defending me? Because you know it's a hoax. I know it's a hoax. Make something of Hoax Hunter.
I am the first person to ever confess to be John Titor, alright? And I'm not John Titor. Morey Haber is John Titor. I'm 100% confident this video proves the information, the 12-year investigation, the documents, the word match. They are in a link in the description of this video. All that matters is Morey Haber is John Titor. So I have a message for Morey. This message is for you, Morey Haber. Come forward, admit you're John Titor, and there won't be people worshiping John Titor as a god. That's my main motivation for revealing that you are John Titor. There are a lot of crazies out there that, sure, they might be worshiping something else, but they're worshiping John Titor, and you know that that's not right. Are you going to come forward? I don't know, but I think it's the right thing to do to come forward. I know for a fact you are John Titor. You can't hide behind the gate anymore. I know. You see, I've seen way too much proof. Proof after proof after proof after proof for many years. Ever since 2011, I've known you were John Titor. That's a long time to keep a secret, but the secret's out. You are John Titor. In 2013, I posted the side-by-side analysis. Morey Haber is John Titor. Arthur Haber admitted it when he tried to push Brandon and say Brandon was John Titor. When he said Morey Haber's writing style, it must have rubbed off on Brandon. That was a huge clue right there, but the mind games through the email is tons of proof. Make up your own mind, come to your own conclusion. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus with the very final John Titor Hoax Hunter episode, with one stipulation. If Morey Haber comes forward in response to this video, I will make a follow-up video. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus with Hoax Hunter. Be seeing you. Bye.